All right, let's jump right in. Think about it. You probably visit dozens of websites every single day. But have you ever really stopped to think about what's holding them all together? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and take a look at the secret skeleton of the web. So really, what is it? What is this invisible architecture that supports everything from your favorite social media feed to that recipe you looked up last night? I mean, it feels huge, right? Super complex, almost like magic.
Well, spoiler alert, it's not magic. Not at all. It's actually a language. And the best part? Its basic principles are surprisingly simple and, honestly, pretty elegant. So let's peel back that first layer.
Okay, so our journey has to start at the very beginning with the absolute foundation, the bedrock of pretty much every single web page that exists. We're talking about HTML.
Right, so HTML. It stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Basically, it's the rulebook, the standard language that tells your web browser, Chrome, Safari, whatever you use, exactly how to structure the stuff it's about to show you. It's the blueprint.
Now, this is a really important point. HTML is not a programming language that does a bunch of complex things. It's a markup language. Just think of it this way. Its only job is to describe the content. It says, hey, this chunk of text, that's a headline, or this part over here is a paragraph. It just annotates things. It doesn't give orders.
A blueprint for a house doesn't just exist in a vacuum, right? It's part of a bigger project. And it's the same for a web page. It lives inside this whole ecosystem. Let's take a quick look at where it all fits together.
Imagine a web server is a giant library. That library holds all the books, and that's your website. Now your web browser, that's you walking into the library. When you type in a web address, you're asking for a specific book, a web page, and the server just hands it over for you to read. It's as simple as that.
All right, so we know where the page lives. Now it's time to do a little digital dissection. Let's take a look at the actual skeleton itself.
So here's the thing. At its core, every single HTML page has the exact same basic anatomy. You've got the head, which is like the brain doing all the invisible thinking, and then you've got the body, which is everything you can actually see and click on. Now let's see what that looks like in code.
And boom, here it is. This is what your browser actually reads. See how everything is kind of sandwiched between an opening HTML tag and a closing HTML tag? And right inside, you can see those two main parts we just mentioned, the head, which has the title My First Web Page that you'd see up in your browser tab, and the body, which holds all the visible stuff. In this case, just a heading and a paragraph. This simple text file, that's the whole blueprint.
So yeah, that head section, it's literally the page's brain. You don't see what's inside it on the page itself, but it's holding all this vital info, like that title that pops up in your browser tab. It's all the important behind-the-scenes stuff.
And then there's the body tags. That's the main event. It's everything you actually see. Every word, every picture, every link you click, it's all living inside those body tags. This is the part of the skeleton that you see and use every single day.
Okay, let's zoom in even closer. If the body is the main skeleton, what about the individual bones? The things that give it its shape. Well, these are some of the absolute most common bones you'll find. You've got heading tags from the super important H1 all the way down to H6, which give your page a clear hierarchy. Then there's the P tag for a simple paragraph, a div, which is basically just a generic box for grouping stuff, and an HR, which just makes a line across the page.
So think about it. Every single time you go to a news site and see that giant, bold headline screaming at you from the top of the page, yep, you're looking at an H1 tag. And it's not just for looks. It tells search engines, hey, this is the most important idea on this page. It's that simple.
And get this, with just two of those tags, just a heading and a paragraph, you can really structure the vast majority of all the written stuff on the entire internet. Just two. It's wild when you think about it. That's the power of HTML.
So when you strip away all the fancy stuff, all the complexity, this is what's left. At the end of the day, the entire web, this massive thing we use every day, is built on a simple, logical skeleton of text tags. That's what gives our digital world its fundamental shape.
Which, of course, leaves us with one big question. If HTML is just the bare-bones skeleton, then what about the style, the skin and the clothes that make it look good? And what about the brains, the muscles that make it interactive? Well, that's a whole other story.